Okay, then you have your PBS Kids show. So this is all my opinion, and you have your S, A, B, C, and D, and then obviously the shows I have not seen. So you have your first one, the new Clifford, the Big Red Dog, and this new one is just 10 times worse than the old one. Animating style is worse, and I think as a lot of the problems of the newer shows is that the lesson that they're trying to teach is way too easy to see, even to some of the younger kids. It's not as interesting. There's no twist. There's no unexpected results. Everything is as you expected, making it really boring. So I gotta put this one in C. And then you have the Curious George, definitely one of the greatest shows. You have a monkey. He has problems, and then he has to solve them. And unlike the newer shows, his solutions are usually wacky, different, and his problems are different. It's not something that you would encounter every day, and I think that makes the show a lot more interesting while also teaching a lesson. He has unexpected twist, and the newer shows, the newer episodes, like of the last 2 years, aren't as interested, but the old ones are great. But I won't put them in S just yet. I put them in A. And then you have the Arthur, obviously one of the best shows, and it's about Arthur's daily life. There are interesting characters and interesting solutions. Arthur's problems aren't always like straightforward, and sometimes you have to actually look to find the moral of the episode. And I love that. I'm gonna put it in S. And then you have Cyber Chase. Ooh, the math show. A couple of kids go into a weird world, and then they have to use their math skills to beat the hacker, which is his face right there. Older shows are all about math, but for some reason the newer shows they go into environmental things. But I love the style. There's always something wonky about the worlds they go to, and even though the new shows similar to Curious George aren't up to par as the old one, um, and the newer ones, I don't know why Hacker's no longer a villain in the new shows. He's like no longer scary anymore like he was in the old ones. He hasn't done anything bad in the newer seasons. So I still put them at S, but the newer episodes like Curious George are starting to get very boring. And Daniel Tiger, I really hate Daniel Tiger. All episodes are exactly the same. Um, there's a little intro where shows the problem. They sing a little song, and then they go to another Daniel Tiger friend, have a slightly different problem, and they sing the same exact song, solve almost the same exact problem, and it's just very boring. And exactly, it's like a lot of bad shows. It's very boring, no twist, no nothing, no plot development. There's no plot at all. I'm gonna be is one of the worst shows. I hate it. And then you have Dinosaur Train, not bad. I like the dinosaurs. I like it's a very interesting concept. I really like they go through times. It's one of the few shows about dinosaurs, anything in history, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's still very good to this day. Very interesting. Dinosaurs are always different. I really like the different designs of all the dinosaurs. Not bad, not great either. I'm gonna put them on B. And Don Quixote, similar to a lot of other shows, way too expected. You expect everything. I do like the puppets. Other than Sesame Street, I think it's one of the few puppet shows, and it does get interesting at times and sometimes funny, but it's way too straightforward. I'm gonna put them at C. And Eleanor's Wonder Why, another very new show, um, environmental show. I feel like it's very similar to Nature Cat, except worse. I'm gonna put them at C. Then you have the Hero Elementary, science, one of the few science shows, um, one of the few new science shows. Nothing wrong with it. There's not really been a superhero show on PBS Kids. So I really like that. Each have their own problems, but similar to a lot of shows, it's way too simple. Not as many twists and turns like the S tier and the A tiers. But I can't. It's not the worst show. I'm gonna put them at B. And then Let's Go Luna, one of the few geography shows that still remain. I like Luna. I think Luna's very fun, and the kids aren't bad. Each have their own personality, and the circle I think is the best part of it. Them traveling in a circle, each has a each circle characters, and I think they have of the new shows they have probably the best characters. But I won't put them in A just yet. I'm gonna put them in B. And Martha Speaks. I really like it. Speaking Dog, the characters are good. Martha, I always love how characters react whenever Martha speaks. It has a good lesson, spelling. I'm gonna put them in A. And then Molly of Denali, one of the first I think shows about Alaskan culture. Molly's fine. I feel like the new episodes with her dancing, I hate that. That's so cringe. But it's fine. It has a good lesson. I find the design really interesting. Not always the same exact pattern. Put them in B. The Nature Cat. I like Nature Cat. Um, I love the group. How Squeaks, Daisy. Um, each of their adventures are drastically different. They don't have the same process. Each have their own characters. I like it. Put them in A. And then you have Odd Squad. Old Odd Squad, great. New Odd Squad, not good. Old Odd Squad, everything was, even though they usually get called to Miss O's office and then they have to go on a to solve some oddness. I think the old ones just put in a lot more effort, and one of the few live action shows and not animated. So, but the new one with the mobile unit group, it looks like their budget just got cut in half and they no longer care. But but the old ones keep the rating up. If it was just the mobile unit one, I put them at C. But the first two seasons was great. And Peg plus Cat, it was interesting. There's nothing much to say about the Peg plus Cat. It didn't last very long, only like 4 or 5 years. But I love the style, animating style of how they're all graph paper behind them. Characters were good. I love Cat, and a few other characters were great. Not It was a good show. And then Pinkalicious and Peterific, similar to Arthur and some other. It's all about daily life, and it's fine. But I hate how Pinkalicious is so fascinated by the color pink. It really annoys me. See. And then Ready Jet Go, one of the few one I think one of the only shows that actually talks about astronomy. Love the concept, love the ship taking off and how jets acts really weird. So that's one of my favorite parts. And honestly, not bad. I like its claymation. Not bad, not great. I put them in B. And Scribble and Ink, it's like 1 minute episodes. It's just there. See. And then you have Sesame Street. Sesame Street classic, one of like the second show there. I love the different segments, different characters, different segments teach different things. The skits, great. The songs are also pretty good. Nothing really bad about Sesame Street, but nothing particularly great about it. I'm put them in A. And then Sid the Science Kid, similar to a lot of other shows, no twist, no nothing. It's always he wakes up, he looks at the problem, he goes to school, he figures it out, bam, he goes home, solves the problem. That's pretty much it. It didn't annoy me much as a kid, but it didn't annoy me really much as a kid, like Daniel Tiger or Sid the Science Kid. But looking back at it, not that good of a show. Splash and Bubbles, actually didn't really mind that show that much. One of the few actual shows that's dedicated to environmental and like about the sea. And I like Splash and Bubbles as characters. Their missions were interesting, and I don't see why it was hated so much. It only lasted 3 years. I'm gonna put them at B. Super Wife, hated that show every single time. Like Daniel Tiger, let's the sidekick always step by step, no twist, no nothing. So why I think Wyatt or whatever his name was had a problem. He calls his group, look into the books, replaces the story, which always ticked me off. They're destroying a classic kid story to solve their problem, and then they do it. There's no villain. It's super boring. Ruffman, I barely saw any of this, but it looks interesting. The only one I ever remember is the songs. B. And then the Cat in the Hat. I I liked it. I really loved. It was one of the top shows, and they always go on some goofy adventure while solving the problem. And I always loved it. Wildcats, probably my favorite show. Um, about animals. I love the creature power suits, all their designs, and it's always different. And it's one of the few shows with actual villains, other than like Cyber Chase. It's one of the few shows with reoccurring villains, and I love it. I love it. And then Word Girl, it just got discontinued, but while it was one of one of the other two shows with Healer Elementary that actually has superheroes and with actual villains. Always different, and the lessons, the words weren't right in your face. It's another great show. And then the History Museum. What was his name again? I don't remember. This one is one of the actually few history shows I think there is, like one of the only history shows. So, and it has a cool concept, museum going back in time. One of the actual new shows that I like, along with Let's Go Luna, and I put them in A. So there you have it, my PBS Kids tier list.